Hi, my name is Stephen Danaluti, and I'm going to talk to you about going beyond technology adoption, which is about driving value through business scenarios. And I'm going to give you a quick intro and then a little bit of a demo to bring it to life. So a little more about me. First of all, I'm a customer success manager. I work for Microsoft Japan, looking after their global accounts and specifically their EMEA operations. I'm based in the UK, and you can find out a little bit more about me on LinkedIn if you want. The three things I focus on with customer work is working with my customers' business areas, and that means often working beyond IT with other business functions and any number of the business functions. But the important thing is to go beyond IT, and ultimately it's about achieving success in these different areas. I'll cover that in a little more detail in a moment. The next area is about technology adoption, because you have to have this before you can get to the building value stage. And driving technology adoption is all about growing usage and shaping employee experience in the modern workplace, which is in Microsoft terms comprised of three parts. And I'm talking about the modern workplace now. It's Windows 10, Enterprise Mobility and Security, and Office 365, which in itself is comprised of a whole bunch of other tools. All of these collectively go to making up Microsoft 365. So beyond technology adoption, the area I'm going to focus on in the rest of this talk is around building value, which is about focused scenario development and specifically around business outcomes success. Before I get into what a business scenario looks like, just to contextualize business scenarios, I mean, essentially, if you consider a customer typically going through a life cycle like this, where there's an evaluation phase and a technology is decided on, you should, at that stage, already have an idea of what you're trying to achieve with the technology. But once you get to a point where you've made a decision to buy, when typically what follows is a deployment phase where users are provisioned, systems are configured, etc. Then there's a launch phase. Then the hard work of adoption comes in, which is all about users using technology in different ways, ideally for better outcomes. And then the hard work of building value once you've had this early stage adoption. And the building value part is made up of, as I say, business scenarios is the kind of the contextual framework, but it's often made up of inputs and outcomes. Like what technology inputs and other inputs are going to achieve different outcomes that you want to achieve. You should have a sales to value feedback loop, which means you tie back to what you originally set out to achieve and see whether you did. And typically at that late stage, once you've built the value, a new cycle starts, upselling and cross-selling, etc. So now I just wanted to show you what on paper at least, a scenario looks like. This is a template. There are many. They can follow very many different formats, but this one generally has a summary part, a current state part, a desired future state part, the key digital capabilities that you're going to employ to achieve the outcomes, and then a little bit more about some of the drivers and the kind of the specific benefits and impact you're going to achieve. And these should be quantifiable, which you set with KPIs at a later stage. So I just wanted to show you that, not go into the detail of it, but just show you an example. And for the demo, I'm going to stick to marketing and now jump to a technology of ours, Microsoft's, that is, Microsoft Teams, and try and bring some of that. If you looked at that scenario even briefly, you would have noticed it was focused on marketing, and I'm going to stick with that business area and scenario. I mean, essentially, we have a team environment here. I'm not going to demonstrate Teams too deeply, because the point I want to make is how this technology is applied to achieve, to work in a specific business scenario. So the scenario here is this team was set up to support the launch of a new product. And so imagine this is a marketing team focused on launching this new product. And typically the way teams work is that you have channels. And so you can set up as many as you like per team. And essentially this has been organized to facilitate different work streams within the launch effort. So there's a launch event channel that we're in right now. And what you can see here is once you go to a channel is that there's a conversation tab. These are tabs at the top here. So you have teams listed over here, then channels, and then tabs. And this is a kind of a hierarchical flow in which you can create structure within teams. Now, in the conversation tab, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of conversations, and this is where, Teams is a workplace chat application, so you can see why conversations is the first tab you'd see in any channel. I'll just jump to another channel to show you that it's exactly the same. Conversations is the first tab you see, and it's there by default whenever you create a channel and can't be deleted. And it's because at its heart, Teams is this workplace chat app, and so this is where you can start conversations, mention people. I've done that here, and that's as simple as starting to type a person's name, selecting that name. That person will get a notification. I could upload a document as I did over here. If I click on the document, you see that I have a view of the document. So it's very useful for collaborative authoring of documents, but at the very least you're viewing the document, and I can put the conversation side by side and have a conversation with the person while I'm looking at the document. So that's just the first thing I wanted to show you about the conversations, and this is where you start a new conversation, and it doesn't just have to be a conversation. I could actually just start a call for this channel, and all the members would see that a call is in progress and could jump on it. I could do that in addition to specifically scheduled calls, which you access over here. The next thing you see in a channel is the files. So here's a list of files that were uploaded to this channel. They're all Office documents, as you'd expect, I guess. But the one thing that I want to show you beyond these basic tabs, the conversation tab and the files tab are there by default in every single channel. So if I click on the event plan tab, what you'll see here is that an application has been brought into Teams. This is Microsoft Planner, a simple task management and project management tool. And it's actually been brought into Teams. It's easily done. You just click the plus button, and here's the Planner option. But there's a whole bunch of other options, many of them Microsoft, but also lots of other third-party options. And basically what you're doing is bringing functionality into Teams without having to leave Teams. So here you see the full functionality of Planner. Planner is organized into boards, and here you can see that around the launch event planning, there's several boards organized around typical things that you'd expect around a launch event. The press activity, venue planning, team travel, and you can add new buckets like that. And if I click on any one of these, you can see it's all interactive. This is not just a view on the application, it's actually you have rich access to the application. I'll just show you another example. You can have any number of other applications related to marketing activities. So here's an example of Dynamics 365, which has got, in this example, it's the launch campaign record from Dynamics, which is viewable via Teams. And again, you could have conversations around this if you wanted, if you had any queries. As you can see, Gora has already started a conversation. The point is that you have access to detailed records without having to leave Teams. And I'll just show you one more example. Again, typically something that you'd expect. Let me just minimize the chat part of this. And actually, let me just expand the tab. So hopefully you'll see in a moment, this is Power BI being brought into Teams, and it's a business intelligence application from Microsoft. And what you're seeing here is, again, you'd imagine that with a launch event, you'd be expecting to see, event analytics around social activity, website activity. And this is all, again, filterable. If I just click on any one of the report options, you see that it changes the report, and there's even more options over here. So again, the point just being that, and I'm just going to minimize that and come back to the channel conversation. The point being that other than just, a collaborative environment where you can have conversation with teammates around very specific parts of work, you can actually bring rich application functionality into Teams. And so again, if I just jump to any one of these channels, you can see how easy it would be to to have conversations about very specific workflows. And yeah, that, just by way of example, I'm hoping you're understanding how important and necessary it is for technology to be focused around not just conversation for conversation's sake, but around work. And in this example that I've given you, it's around marketing activities around the launch of a new product. Hopefully that was useful. Thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.